As we kick off this new rebrand of podcast storytelling, we got to talk about your AI fear because AI is everywhere. And you might be hearing that little voice in your head saying, oh no, it's going to replace me. Well, let me tell you, AI can't steal one thing that truly matters, your story and your lived experiences, which is why we've shifted to podcast storytelling from Beyond the Downloads. We all have that moment where we wonder if the thing we've been building, your podcast, your marketing plan, your funnel, your business could suddenly be done faster, cleaner, or cheaper by something that would never get tired. I know. Doubt's gonna creep in. I know it because I feel it too. And you wonder if that means you need to jump ship and find a trade that can't get touched by AI. I get it. If that has crossed your mind at all, you're going to want to stick around for podcast storytelling. I want you to stay and hang out with me because AI isn't actually replacing people, but it is exposing something that a lot of podcasters never built in the first place. And once you understand that, the fear is going to disappear. And if you're afraid AI is going to take over, it's time to focus on what AI can't do. And you know what that is? That's being you and your lived experience and your story. Let's do this. Welcome to Podcast Storytelling. I'm Jen Dragonette. Here, we use your story to lead with connection before strategy. So your podcast doesn't just grow, it converts. And your business actually pays you without hustling harder. And the best part, we get to do it with ease because we focus on the right effort. Well, first, if you're listening to this the day that it dropped, it's Merry Christmas. Happy whatever you're celebrating. Happy holidays. Wow. Can you believe it's going to be 2026 in 6 days? Oh, wow. I know. Super scary. But I want to really talk about this whole why the fear exists of AI and how it's benefited me. It has made me scared. It's made me shake in my boots and wonder if I should do something like become a plumber. Let's be honest. I shouldn't become a plumber, but we thought that. It's everywhere right now. People are using it to outline episodes, write captions, edit videos, repurpose content, even clone voices. And now I've seen such great AI video that you almost can't tell that it's an AI replica of them on video. On the surface, it looks efficient, impressive, clean. But here's what's happening. Something strange is happening right alongside of that. A lot of the content sounds fine, but it's not going to stick. Technically, it's correct. Emotionally, it is flat, boring, and can't connect with a human, right? It doesn't invite conversation. It doesn't create loyalty. It doesn't make people lean in. And people are so sick of polished. When I look at all the Instagram experts right now, first, well, I'm like, are you really an expert? I'm not seeing engagement. I see a follower count, but that's it. But I'm noticing that it's getting more of like that. I'm going to call it the grunge area, especially on Instagram. It's like the grunge the grunge era of Instagram. Like nothing is polished and perfect. And I think that it's because people are trying to not connect with AI. I mean, heck, I got catfished by 3 different AI bots on a dating app. It is scary. And although, it's out there and it does help with creating content, cleaning up content, it still can't do what I do, which is why I still have production clients, right? Because AI can only produce so far before you need a real human because it can't decide what's fluff, what's not fluff. And it edits kind of funky sometimes. It makes you sound like a robot. So I started asking myself why content isn't connecting with people, or what is it going to do? People start asking how they're supposed to compete with all this AI that's out there. That's the wrong freaking question. AI is not replacing connection. It's only replacing information-only content. And let me tell you, if you ask ChatGPT things, it lies to you half the time because it scrolls the internet and it doesn't tell what's good, what's bad information, and it just spits something back to you. So, and that information isn't the reason that people trusted you in the first place. So we can stop worrying about AI. We can start using it to our advantage. We can stop trusting it for all the things. But here's the thing. Here's the truth. Your audience is not, again, I'm going to repeat this. Your audience is not following you because you are the most optimized, the most polished, the most put together. They followed you because there's something about you that felt human. Humans don't connect through facts alone. They connect through those lived experiences, those stories, through how someone says something, through pacing, through hesitation, through the emotional weight behind their words. AI can't generate that information. AI cannot generate an experience. That's where the distinction matters more than it ever has, is that people do still believe in humans. So maybe you have a course or you have something that you've put out and you've designed it all in AI and it lost your voice. It's probably not selling like you hoped, is my guess. Because it's not using you, and you and your story are what matters. You and your story, your lived experience, the way you say something. Like, I don't say sleazy. I say skeezy. AI is not going to pick that up. AI is not going to use that. I say creating a tsunami of change. You should see how AI tries to use that. It's terrible, but it's not me. AI can't replace you, no matter how much information. I've been feeding chat with my podcast information in my words for, oh my goodness, like at least 2 years now. And it still can't mimic or remember my stories. This is why the podcasting field is shifting. And yes, there's more content. We're trying to compete with more and more things. But when people get clued into this is an AI, they're going to move on, just like I did with the 3 amazing humans, 3 amazing guys that I thought I was talking to, until at 12:01, they all sent almost exactly the same message with the same grammar errors and spelling errors. And I was like, crap, I got catfished 3 times. And this is exactly why I shifted this podcast from Beyond the Downloads to podcast storytelling. Because yes, we all know podcasts aren't the problem. We know that strategy isn't the problem. Visibility isn't even the real problem. The real problem is that so many podcasters are actually sitting on their stories that would actually create trust and resonance with their audience, but they don't know how to use them without oversharing or shutting down completely. And AI has made this gap even more obvious. I can tell when you're sitting there reading back and forth and you're trying to I don't know, I'm going to read you the story that ChatGPT told me about my business. I can hear it. I see it in your content. I see your AI airbrushed, whatever. Give me the gray hairs and the crinkles in the face and the people that stumble on their words. Yeah, I still like to take out my ums and my ahs and my you knows, but in reality, I'm looking for that now. Those are the people that I'm going to stick around with because I don't want to be buying something that I can get online. I want to go through something, whether that's a program to build my business or learn a new platform or a dance class or feeding myself or any of these things. I want to do it with a human. Because in a world where everyone has access to the same tools, the same tech, and the same shortcuts, your story is what's going to connect your lived experience. How can you tweak it a little bit? That's your anchor. That's the piece that AI can never take away from you. And that's what makes you stand out. And that's why everything is people first, story first. How do we know about history? Because people told stories. How do we make our friends? Probably because people told stories. We created memories. We told stories. Back when I was a kid, we walked both ways uphill in the snow with no shoes. We've all heard those stories, right? And that makes you connect a little deeper because it puts you in that moment. When I was in kindergarten, this happened and then this happened. And, hey, there's this really funny story, or hey, there's this really hard time in my life. That's why we're going to talk about finding those stories that connect with other humans, because those connections where people can see themselves in your story, that's where you get them to lean in and to listen. Let me be very, 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 very clear, because this matters. AI is not your enemy. It is helpful for brainstorming ideas, organizing ideas, editing transcripts, repurposing content, audio editing, video editing, saving times. I use it. My clients use it. The issue isn't the tool. The issue is when the tool replaces your voice, your lived experiences, your story, instead of supporting it, instead of telling you what it is. Do I have an outline that I'm looking at right now that I spilled everything I wanted to be saying into chat and said, give me an outline? Oh, yeah. Or these would be like 40-minute episodes that no one would listen to. But I'm not reading a script from AI because I want my voice, my inflection, my input. AI can clone voices now. And yes, that's real. I could be typing this all in and sharing it with you. But what's not going to happen is it's not going to replicate why your voice shifts when you talk about certain things, or why you slow down when a memory hits, or why certain words land heavier because you actually lived them. People may not consciously analyze that, but I can guarantee you they will feel it. Those moments when I step on stage and it was like 6 years ago, I had a plan for the day. It was going to be my last day on this planet, but my plan wasn't going to be executed to the afternoon. So I went through my morning routine, opened my phone, listened to a podcast, and then I said one more day. AI is not going to tell you it that way. You can even tell now that my energy has shifted because it came back into my body. It came back into my deep soul. Recently I posted a piece of content that wasn't purpose. A line was in the wrong place. So it was a little bit misguided, I'm going to say. And from a technical standpoint, it wasn't ideal. She freaked out about it and she made me take it down. But before that piece was taken down, it outperformed anyone else that I posted for her that week. There was more engagement, more comments, more saved, not because it was strategic, but it felt human. And humans aren't perfect. So I tested it again. I started a new Instagram account and stopped trying to make everything perfect. No flawless covers, no heavy edits, no running anything through AI or it being polished to death. And guess what? The account is taking off tens of thousands of views, real comments, real connections in a matter of a few weeks. And this content isn't impressive. It's literally me just recording me putting all the ingredients in a bowl, making things, shaping things, putting them in the oven, opening up things, turning them into food. Not impressive. It's honest. And that's not an accident. That's data. Between those two things and that one mistake that I made that I let slip through on my client that freaked out and had me put it down, guess what? We tried it again the following week and it fell flat because it wasn't relatable. People don't trust perfect. Perfect is too AI, and they sure as heck don't trust all those dashes. So if you do nothing else, change the dashes out of your content. They trust real people. This is what matters for you and your business. If your marketing isn't connecting right now, it's not because AI exists. It's because your audience doesn't feel you yet. It doesn't see themselves in your story. They don't know why you care, what you shaped this for, or what even you're lived through. Because this is what makes your perspective different. This is what makes you unique. Because we could all be selling the same thing, but how I say it and how you say it are totally different. That's what matters. AI didn't take your job. It just raised the bar. Information is everywhere now. Meaning is what people pay for. That meaning, that connection, that humanness. And meaning comes from stories. And I think human connection personally, because, for me, when I build something, when I create something, I had this DIY offer out there, and I still do. There's a chat GPT that you can put in that you can plug and play for my video meets podcast system. But I don't like to sell anything without actually having a touch point, an onboarding. So you get a course from me, you get an onboarding call normally. Course from me, onboarding call. I think that human touch is what's actually going to move the needle forward. So if you're still with me, because every week I promise you a 15-minute action step that will help move your business forward, here's what I want you to do. I want you to set a 15-minute timer. First, look at your offer that you're currently selling or the work you most want people to understand. Write down what problem it solves. Then ask yourself, what version of me needed this first? Yeah. Where were you when you needed this? Why did you create this? We normally create things because we fill our own need for something. And we're like, oh, if this was missing, we can help someone else with it. I don't want this to be polished. I want this to be the early raw version. Then I want you to write out what wasn't working before this thing that you created existed. What were you frustrated by? What were you tolerating that you shouldn't have been? What moment made it clear that something had to change? That's a lot, right? You're not done yet. So finally, I want you to read what you wrote and highlight the one sentence in there. That's your realization. That's the shift. That's the truth. This sentence is the entry point of your story. It's the before and after, the moment that helps people recognize themselves in your expertise, in your story, in your lived experience, and trust what you're offering. You don't sell the offer. You invite them into the moment that it created. That's storytelling. And if you're struggling with this, next week, we're going to go through deeper of how to actually find those moments. We're going to really unpack this. But for now, I just want you to think of like that before you created this version, that thing that made you frustrated and what it was like. So if you need help finding or figuring out the story or how it actually fits into your podcast and business, I have a free CPR audit. This is a 30-minute call with me where I look at your podcast and your business and see what's the missing link is and how to add your story in. This is not a sales call. This is a no pressure call. If after the 30 minutes you want to talk about working together, we can. If not, that's good too. You still will get the 30 minutes of me and picking my brain so that we can give your podcast and business a little CPR, some clarity on your purpose and your people so you can revive that revenue. So let's resuscitate what's already there instead of replacing it. So next week, we're going to talk about how to identify those specific stories and life experience that make your audience really lean in and be like, yes, I'm her fan. And build that kind of trust that leads to that real revenue without oversharing, without turning your podcast into therapy, and without feeling like a skeezy salesperson. Got it? Let's keep doing this. So welcome to Podcast Storytelling. Now go out and make today amazing because you are beautiful, you are wonderful, you are worthy, and your story deserves a microphone. Now go do the thing.